Welcome everybody to Bobby Talks, ... Those dots are there to tell you that there's always more to the story. And today's story is Curls for the Girls. Sitting here, take two with Jason Vest. Jason, how you doing, man?
I'm doing all right, man. I'm excited to be here.
I'm so glad you're here. This is the second time we've ran through this. I am Robert Gifford. I'm your host of this show. Ladies and gentlemen, we're getting ready to make a summer push. I forgot to tell you guys that off the top. At Bobby Talks, 3 dots. At Poopy Turds McGee. Jason Vest is a stand-up comedian out of Detroit. Really interesting cat. 20 years in the military.
Yep.
There's a story behind you, man. But before we get there, I was just getting ready to talk about this Free Britney picture that you have over here on Instagram. For those of you that don't know that statue's in Detroit there. He was just getting ready to tell us a story about why this whole thing took place. You're passionate about freeing Britney. Talk, man. What do you got?
Well, I'm pretty supportive behind the Free Britney movement. I think that we should go get in a van and go get this woman right now. Let's leave Adrian. We'll just go get her.
Right.
But I'm supportive behind the movement, but I also think it's a little funny.
Yeah.
How this is in the news more than the UFO stuff.
Yeah. Pentagons are telling us that UFOs, do exist, and we're over here talking about Britney Spears. Yeah.
And so I do a lot of boudoir photos. It's part of my it's not really part of my stand-up act, but it's part of my social media to draw people to that.
Okay.
And I'm like, how can I combine all of this into one thing? And I'm like, the only way to do it is to have somebody draw Free Britney on my stomach. And then I kind of toyed around with the idea. So then we went down to Detroit. My wife and I, she's a photographer.
Yeah.
And we're like, let's do it. And
she's all aboard you dressing like this and going down Detroit.
She wasn't on board about this.
Okay.
She was like, we don't know how this is going to go. But we get downtown and it was funny because there was tourists taking pictures in front of the statue.
Oh, really?
Meanwhile, I got my shirt off and my wife's writing Free Britney in lipstick on my t-shirt or on my stomach. And so people didn't know what to expect. And then out of the blue, I just climbed up on one of the chairs because they have a park right there. And I yelled, Free Britney. And in the distance, I could hear, Free Britney.
Just like an echo of people repeating it back to you.
It was like that. It was like yelling, Wolverines. And then next thing you know, one of those pedal bar things came up.
Okay.
All of those people got off of that and they were like, we have to see what's going on here.
This is an interesting picture here with all these, I don't know if they're tourists or just people that happen to be walking through Detroit at the time.
Tourists and supporters. It's a mix of people from the pedal bar.
Okay.
And mix of people from the street and just Britney fans. And we didn't ask anybody. This just kind of was this dude's in his underwear. He's got this on his stomach. He's about something.
Not something you see every day in Detroit, Michigan, or not to this aptitude. I love how if you look closely at this picture, and if you guys follow him at Poopy Turds McGee on Instagram here, you're gonna see Free Britney across his belly, but it's he's been sweating clearly, so some of the lines are kind of
war paint.
Yeah, it's kind of blending down a little bit. Interesting day for you, I'm sure. I also saw some other pictures on here that you ran into the Naked Cowboy, or maybe that was on by design here in New York City. So a lot of people, I'm sure, are familiar with Naked Cowboy. He's a staple of that community there in New York City forever. Tell me a little bit about that.
So we were originally supposed to be in Austin, Texas.
Okay.
And we had a Spirit flight, which we all know what happens. The Spirit flight's freaking delayed. And so it got delayed. And the devil was telling us to not go to Austin. And so we drove to New York.
Okay.
And I had always had a vision, if I got back to New York, to do this with the Naked Cowboy. Where I want to take these pictures, it's more than just me in my underwear. It's body positivity.
Right. It's the whole thing. Yeah.
It's a whole vibe.
Right.
And so I walked right up to the guy and I was fully clothed at the time and I have my guitar. I'm like, my wife's a photographer. We will cross promote each other. And he was like, I'm in.
He was all about it.
He was all about it. And then when we did the photo shoot, that photo shoot where his Naked Cowboy was on his butt cheeks. That was his idea.
Oh, really?
So
okay.
we gave him the vision and the Naked Cowboy came up with the execution. He was like, all right, you're going to sing this song. I'm going to sing this song. I'm going to put the cowboy hat on. We're going to make a TikTok. We're going to make a...
He was all about it.
He knew what to do.
That's awesome.
And then he's a comedian.
Okay.
And so if you follow Ari Shaffir at all, Ari Shaffir interviewed him today on his on Instagram. But yeah, he's an old school comic.
Okay. I did not know that. Yeah. I thought he was just, you kind of think he's just out there.
He runs that town.
Yeah.
When you say the Naked Cowboy, they go, oh, Rob.
Rob. Okay. So there is a name behind the Naked Cowboy. I did not know that.
Oh, yeah. He works out like a Navy SEAL.
Okay.
screw around. Like there was a shooting was a couple weeks ago in Times Square, and then Naked Cowboy made a Facebook post, shooting going on in Times Square, and the Naked Cowboy still getting it done. So you see a guy running away with a damn machine gun,
and he's still out there playing.
He's singing for the ladies, man.
Oh my gosh, that is how old is the guy?
He's got to be 60, 58, 60.
Oh, he's up there then. Okay. I've seen him a couple times in person. You know, you're doing the touristy thing. I've never stripped down my underwear and did a photo like you've done here, but this is great, man. I love it. I love the body positivity message that you're going to as well. That's awesome. You would think sometimes with these guys like these out in LA, I know you take a picture with some of these guys that dress up like Captain Jack Sparrow and them, they get really mad if you don't pay them or if you try, you know what I mean? That I guess they're making a living that way, but you think they're just part of the show or the street, you know what I mean? And so you're kind of having fun, but they get kind of pissed. I thought maybe Naked Cowboy would be mad about you kind of stealing his thunder a little bit here.
No, it gets funnier because like as we're doing it, we drew a crowd. So like people are taking our pictures. We were having fun with it. And then the cops came. This is the best part. This is the best thing I've ever had on comedy. So the cops come. They're like, "What's going on here?" And the Naked Cowboy raises his arm in the air. He's with me.
Jason, I think you've made it, man.
In my mind, I have anyway. I mean, the Naked Cowboy says, I'm his replacement. So
makes sense. Now, how old are you, Jason?
I'm 42.
42 years old. So let's spend a little bit on this body positivity thing. Is this something that's really important to you?
It is. It is because I spent 20 years in the military.
Okay.
And in the military, there's a set standard of what you're supposed to be.
Right.
It is what it is. It's the rules. You can't get around it. But it was the one thing that I got judged on when I was in the military. Not my ability to do my job, not my job wasn't a physical job. So like for me, when I got out, I was like, you know what, fuck this. I mean, I wasn't going to get fat. Like that wasn't my thing. But if I can do something to help this, I'm going to, because in the military, when you get told you're fat for 20 years,
oh wow,
it fucks with you.
Right.
And so, yeah.
How does that work in the military? So like, do you have a certain standard, weight standard that you have to keep?
You do.
Is it based on height? Is it everybody has to be the same? Like, how does that work?
It's some chart made in the fucking 80s.
Yeah, that
says
still...
you got to be this height and this weight. They don't give two shits about your physical fitness agility level. So if you fit into this box, then you're good.
Right.
And so for me, you know, and I wasn't a good physically fit soldier. I was a fat overweight. Let's just be honest here. Like there never was a time where I was ever in shape. But when I got out, I was like, if there's something I can do, if I can use my voice or my comedy to kind of push this along and promote my comedy at the same time, why not?
Yeah, but why not? I like that. Have you had people reach out to you about the body positivity?
We have. Like when we went down, we did a beach photo shoot in South Carolina. And we had people coming up and thanking us and hugging us. And I get direct messages all the time from people that are like, thank you. You know, I mean, I got a lot for the Free Britney. And then every once in a while I get some nudes. Like my DMs get spicy, man. I got a lady from Florida that sends me feet pics.
Oh, God.
And I didn't ask for them.
That is such a thing that is becoming not even, it used to be like, you know, your taboo stuff, right? TikTok has made showing your feet now like okay.
I'm okay with it. I talk in my act. I got a foot fetish, man. I love women's feet. I don't love women that don't take care of their feet. Ladies,
yeah. Come on now,
handle that.
Yeah,
but no, I love it. I think, and I'm not afraid to talk about it.
Yeah, and
it makes people super uncomfortable. So when you're like, I like women's feet, the room gets silent. But you know that there's out of 10 dudes, there's probably 6. You know,
I mean, I don't know that I have a foot fetish. I mean, I would like, look at the
like a good foot.
The leg continues down to the foot. If it looks good, it feels good. I don't know. If it's still, the fetish, I don't know if it's there or not. But yeah, TikTok seemed to have like, I don't know if you're big on TikTok or not. Are you? What's your handle?
Turds McGee.
Okay, awesome. All of them. Instagram. You got a Twitter?
At Twitter, Poopy Turds McGee. I don't put shit on Twitter, but I'm
the same way, dude. I'll throw this all up there for everybody to get at the end of the show. Yeah, TikTok is kind of a weird animal. Like, do you find it hard to be creative in that type of 60-second space, or is that like your sweet spot?
I think it's my sweet spot. Yep. Whenever I do a video longer, because you can put 3-minute videos on TikTok now. Nobody gives a shit. But when you put the 45 seconds funny stuff, that's the stuff that I have on TikTok that hits. Yeah. And so I think you got to really think about it and put it out there. And it's funny you said that about feet, because as soon as my TikTok, my feed is big women and feet. So like I either flip through big women or feet, one or the other.
awful transition. Your wife, is she got beautiful
bigger girl?
feet?
Yeah, she's bigger girl. She got big feet, man. Okay. I love all of her, man.
I've not seen a picture of her yet or not.
That was gorgeous, man.
Is she good? Good. How long have you been married?
15 years.
Wow. Congratulations, man. So you met her, was she a part of the military as well?
No, we met on the internet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I mean, at that point, I was insecure about how I looked.
Sure.
And I was in shape.
Yeah.
Which is fucking weird.
Yeah, and now when you flip that, you stop caring, and then all of a sudden these things come your way. Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Let's dive into it then. Military man.
Let's do it.
Where did you, well, maybe even a little bit before. Give me a little bit of who you were before. You started off, are you always from the Detroit area?
No, not at all. From Lansing, South Lansing.
Okay.
And I grew up in Stockbridge.
Okay. Where'd you go to high school?
Stockbridge High School.
You did go to Stockbridge? Okay. That's a big school, ain't it?
No.
No?
It's a tiny little farming school.
Okay.
Farming community.
I was going to say, because, so... I used to teach. I just left my job. People know that now. I don't know if it's as small as where I was at. We were graduating classes of 20.
Okay, no, not that small.
Okay. I went to a school called Sand Creek. We graduated with about 70 kids. Is that more Stockbridge?
About 150.
Okay, so you would become twice our size then.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So you're at Stockbridge, you graduate, and you're thinking, what? I got to go military?
I knew that I had screwed everything up. So it was not, there wasn't a lot of options for me.
Okay.
It wasn't like colleges were knocking at the door.
Sure.
I was a cheerleader in high school, so there's no cheerleading scholarships for dudes.
Well, there are now.
There are now.
Maybe not at that time. So you would have graduated, what was the year?
In 1997.
97, okay.
So I joined the military, and I left Stockbridge, and I never looked back.
That's an interesting, so let's talk a little bit about that. You were a cheerleader in high school. Did you get a lot of shit for that when you joined the military?
I didn't tell too many people until I don't tell people until I get super comfortable about it around them. But when I did it in high school, I was okay.
Yeah.
I was okay with it.
It wasn't a thing. You were just a part of it.
Well, here's the thing. Why would I want to wrestle and roll around with a bunch of dudes?
Right.
Why would I want to play basketball and sweat with a bunch of dudes when I can hang out with some chicks?
Right.
So I thought until I found out that they just treat you like one of the girls.
They put you in the friend zone, man.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. You're not, and so it didn't quite work out the way I thought it was long term. But that was my comeback. Whenever like, why do you do that? I'm like, why do you?
It's a great comeback.
Yeah, sweaty locker room with a bunch of dudes.
Yeah.
Man, have fun with that. I'm gonna go.
All this testosterone over here. But what a dichotomy you had. I mean, you have that life, and then you say, I need to join the military, though.
Oh, it threw everybody for a loop because there were some people in high school, they didn't know like what I was. They didn't.
Were you pushed into it? Like, what was your family life like?
No, my parents didn't want me to do it all. That was the last thing they wanted me to do.
Interesting.
But I couldn't. I had to get away from home. I didn't want to be like this typical Stockbridge kid working at the bowling alley, or anything like that. I had no skills.
You had a greater vision for yourself that you wanted to get out, but you felt maybe this was the only way to do it?
It was the only way for me in my mind. And honestly, I still think that till this day.
Really?
The only way I would have got my shit together and grown up and been an adult.
So what kind of... So what were you like, rebel or just like not thinking about tomorrow? Like, well, paint me a picture of Jason Vest when he's 17, 18 years old.
Lazy, no ambition, no goal.
Okay.
Nothing. Just, I was living for the moment. You know, I didn't really have any plans or dreams. I didn't have any money. I didn't have anything. And so when this came along, it was like, all right, I can go do this for a few years and figure out what I want.
Okay.
And then I got into it and I really liked it. And so then I'm like, all right, I'll just make a career of this.
I read something, and again, I was just trying to do a little bit of research. I looked up YouTube, trying to find stuff of you on there. I went down deep. I did a deep dive on your Instagrams, reading some of the comments, and there was a word on there that I'm not sure if you just spelt incorrectly or if you were trying to be funny and it went over my head. Were you bullied in school?
What?
Were you bullied in school at all?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, a little bit. Like, I was always I don't know. I did the cheerleading thing. They didn't like it.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
And then I went and did other things. Like I did theater. And I did choir.
Yeah.
I did musical shit. So like in a farming community,
it's a rural community. Is it safe to say it was mainly white?
White football players, basketball players. And
Varsity Blues straight out of Indiana type thing.
And I think what happened was they wanted me to be a certain way.
Okay.
Like I think if I would have said, hey, I'm gay, then it would have just been an easier acceptance.
Yeah.
But even the gay kids can't say they're gay in a small school like that.
Right.
So then it was a lot of like judgment and picked on. And I was like, when I joined the military, I was the last guy to do it. I was like 130 pounds. So like little Jason Vest. And I'm like, yeah, fuck you guys. I'm gone. And
awesome, dude.
I don't like playing by rules and other people's rules and stereotypes. No.
They're pigeonholing you into your life already.
Pretty much. Yeah. And I was like, no.
Do you find... do you still have, after 20 years in the military, do you still have any resentment towards that? Or are you like, you making peace with, those people in that town and maybe just early dumb childhood ignorance that maybe they grew up out of? Or do you still hold some of those feelings there?
No, I don't hold anything now, man. Especially when you look on Facebook and you see people that you went to high school with and things like that, and they're in the same boat. They're just as fat as you are.
Yep. Yeah. It all evens itself out in the end, doesn't it?
Yeah, the homecoming queen, now she's 300 pounds. Now, she's still sexy, but she's 300 pounds. So I'm just saying, and growing up and just moving on, it's what makes me, and
right.
I'm okay with it. But yeah, I make references to it every now and again because that's part of my thing too. Like those pictures I took on the internet, I got a lot of crap from the government because I worked for the federal government, and the Department of Defense didn't like that because I'm a Department of Defense employee. And then it was like, oh,
okay,
what are these semi-nude photos in a bathing suit?
Yeah.
Me being a man have to do with my job performance.
Right.
Well, we find it offensive. No, you find it offensive because I'm a man.
Yeah, because you're a man. If you were a female, it wouldn't even be a topic of conversation.
Flip right through it. And so that's, again, another thing that just kind of fueled me. It's like, all right.
Was this recent? In year 2021?
Because of it.
So this was your job.
This was my job
you were telling me off camera that you just quit your job as well. Interesting. So you're working for, what was your job specifically?
I worked for the federal government, and I oversight for National Guard recruiting programs. So what I did is I made sure like the National Guard followed the active Army rules and like local laws and policies and things like that. So like human resources manager, essentially. Yeah,
you're just kind of like the facilitator or monitor of those people, make sure they're doing their thing.
Principal of recruiting. You
Gotcha.
can do this, you can't do this, and all that stuff. And yeah, when I started getting these questions about these pictures, and it was just like,
were you like caught off guard? Like, really? Am I sitting in a room or having a conversation about this?
No, I knew it was going to happen. And so
you knew it before you did it?
They troll my social media.
Okay.
And so like my former employer, because they always want to know what I'm up to because they don't know. And so now it's just how far can I push things?
Yeah.
And how far, because I know that I have people watching that work down the road from the Pentagon.
Interesting.
That every day check that to see if I'm in my underwear. So I do that for the people in Washington, just so you know how big my package is.
Yeah, Joe Biden, that's for you, buddy. Mm-hmm. So this is really fascinating to me then. Do you feel like that shouldn't even have been a topic conversation?
I think that I did 20 years in the military and I went to war.
Yeah.
And if I want to dance around with a naked cowboy in my underwear, I earned that right.
You earned your right. You more than me.
No, I wouldn't say that anybody earned that right. And so I think what you do in your private life, you really shouldn't have to don't take it serious.
Right.
But the point to call me out and let me know that this offended some high ups in Washington, I don't care.
Right.
All that's going to do for me, the comedian, and the retired veteran that really doesn't give a shit anymore.
Material.
I'm going to material, and it is. It's turned into a huge part. But now I'm just going to push the envelope even more.
Sure. Man. So
that motivates me more than people saying good job.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah, absolutely. The haters motivate me more than the people.
Keeps you going then.
That's what keeps me going. So it's like, all right, I'm going to show you.
I'm a school teacher. So like, I have this, what are we doing here? It don't matter. We got the other camera. We'll just keep pressing play here. Having technical difficulties has been my life today, man. It's crazy. Anyways, dude, like I was saying off camera, like I'm a school teacher and I am always kind of consciously trying to make decisions about whether or not this show, how much freedom should I give the guest to talk about what they want? Because I'm K through 12, right? And I know that I have an audience, but the audience is small. But I know of some of those audiences probably some of my kids, as a byproduct because I'm throwing it out there in the internet. I've never been sat down and been questioned about like, why did you have this person on or that person on? But it's always in the back of my mind. I feel like it probably should be in the back of my mind. But at the same time, I always say like, I'm bringing Jason Vest on. Jason Vest is going to speak for Jason Vest and Robert Gifford's going to speak for Robert Gifford. I don't know if that's the way it should be or not, but
it should be. You should be able to say whatever you want, do whatever you want. If you're a teacher, it doesn't mean you're a creep in the classroom.
Right.
You know, I mean, taking pictures in my underwear with a naked cowboy to promote a comedy show in New York, that's hardly an act of fucking terrorism.
Right.
You know, I mean, and so, yeah, I guess it was an eye-opener to what I was involved in. And I don't want to be involved in anymore, so I quit.
So scary. So you quit your job, and now you are what? What's the transition like?
I don't know what that is. You know, I'll figure it out. You know, I'm retired, so I get a pension and like.
Oh, okay. So you're kind of safe there already.
A little bit. You know, I got a cushion. Can I afford to quit my job? No. But am I going to live my life another day in something that doesn't serve me? Absolutely not. I'll figure it out.
Yeah. That's great, man. Congratulations on that. I'm happy for you. That's the same thing with me. I was at a school. I felt like I was being, I was there for 6 years, felt appreciated. And then all of a sudden things just kind of turned and I felt underappreciated and undervalued. And I was like, for my mental space, I can't be here no more.
Nope.
And you have some people that, that's what's happening. Our camera is too hot. All right, we'll let that thing just cool down a while. Anyways, no, I was there and I just felt like some of the people were telling me that just hang on, you know, and then some of the other people were like, you gotta get out, you gotta do what's best for you and your 6 inches between your ears. So we left, man. So here's us, brother.
That's it.
Yeah.
The unemployed.
Yeah, unemployed life. So tell me about your time in the military.
Okay.
Because I watched a TikTok video that you had made and you're like, this is who I am. And you kind of listed off everything. This is a fascinating cat, guys. Jason has been in the military for 20 years. Somebody that never thought you would think would be in the military, end up doing 20 years plus of service, right? Thank you so much for that. You battled with depression and alcoholism.
Severely.
Okay. And then you've made your way out. Now you're a stand-up comedian. You're a comedian in general. Let's start with you're in the military. What branch was it?
The Army. And then I was in the National Guard specifically.
Okay.
And then, I joined, got in, and went to basic training, did that. Immediately, I started working full-time for the National Guard. Okay. I was a bad soldier. So, like, the only time I was physically fit is when the Army forced me to for 8 weeks of basic. So
after that, you don't have to be a certain standard?
It's on your own responsibility, and I'm not responsible. So I always did the minimum.
Right.
And they were like, but this guy can talk.
Right.
So they started putting me in front of crowds of people and doing presentations. And then I worked my way into becoming a recruiter for the National Guard. And
You'd be great at that.
I was killer at it.
Yeah.
I was awesome at it for about 8 years.
Okay.
And then the war kicked off. And I had a problem sending kids to war. And I hadn't gone. Because you're in living rooms of kids, students.
Yes.
High school seniors. And their parents going, when did you go? And I didn't want to be that guy that was like, I never had been, because I had done that a few times and I didn't feel right about it.
Right.
So I actually resigned from my full-time job and then to go to war.
What year was that?
In 2005.
2005. So now you're in 8 years. You're looking at the parents of an 18-year-old kid and you're trying to, for lack of better words, talk them into joining the military, which I don't know if that's the right phrase to use.
That's exactly what you're doing. It's fucked up. I mean, pardon my language, but you're using sales tactics to send people to a position that could end their life. Now, unfortunately, that's just how the game's played.
Right.
My only problem with it was when they asked that question, when have you done? What was your experience like?
Yes. You wanted to be about what you were talking about.
I didn't want to be the guy that barked with nothing to back it up.
Right.
So I volunteered. And
dude, that's very commendable because not a lot of people would do that.
No, I mean, some days I wish I didn't, but I did. Yeah. And I was gone for about...
Would you say that changed everything?
It changed everything.
The whole
year, it changed my entire outlook on life. Made me more mature, but it also made me immature.
Yeah.
It really, in a sense, kind of fucked me up because it was a year that I had in Iraq that was highly stressful, where I didn't have any responsibilities except waking up, doing my job, making sure everybody that we were with was safe. I worked in healthcare.
Okay.
And it was I'm glad I did it, but I didn't have like always the best experience. Like I did stupid jobs over there because I hadn't worked in healthcare in a long time. I was a recruiter.
Right.
So like for a while I was giving men STD tests. Like that was my actual job. Like I gave grown ass men STD tests and
fascinating though. So like even when they're over there, you're giving them an STD test.
Yeah, you're doing bullshit no matter where you go.
Really?
I mean like drug tests and things like that. So like and then the war had kicked off. It kicked off full spring, and we got busier, and we had to actually do our jobs and stuff like that. And so for me, it was super stressful because I had to learn a whole new skill that I hadn't done in a long time.
Right.
I joined as a medic, then became a recruiter for 8 years.
Right.
And then went back
to being a medic.
To being a medic again. I hadn't done that. And I had to lead soldiers too.
Oh, man.
So I had to learn that job fast.
Yeah.
And it was so stressful. So when I came home, I had a better work ethic, more responsible, more focused. It was all the other bullshit, the
Probably
PTSD, the depression and anxiety that came along with that I didn't ask for.
Right. And you probably, at the time, I'm sure you don't expect it, right? It just, once it shows its head, you're like, oh shit. And you might not even acknowledge it or be able to identify it at first, right?
You don't know that you're fucked up till about a year after you come home. Because you come home in the newness of being home, you're back doing your things with your friends, your normal routine, your normal schedule, and then something happens.
Like a trigger.
Something. And that could be a noise, it could be a phrase, and it takes you back to that shit place again. And then that's kind of what happened to me but I dealt with it with alcohol. And so I just crawled into a bottle as soon as I came home and didn't really crawl out of it until about 2017.
Wow. So you're talking about 10, 11 years there, pretty hard going at it.
Hard.
Wow.
Hard partying every night,
Just trying to mask the pain or to escape? Like what was the reasons?
I think that I came home and I was a little rambunctious and reckless, and I had made some mistakes and I'd gotten myself into a hole, and then I didn't go, all right, I need help. Let's get out of this hole and move forward.
Right.
In your head, when you're an addict and you're in the bottle, any kind of bottle, pill bottle, booze bottle, you're not thinking in real terms. You're thinking about the right instant now, not big picture. And so, it fucked me up bad.
Could you listen to anybody, or was you just no?
No. And I was around other alcoholics too. So my friends in the military are drunks. So then I was around people that were like, no, you're fine. You're fine. And they would just co-sign.
You guys are all enabling each other.
Exactly. Co-signing each other's bullshit.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah. And then it wasn't until I got out and away from those people, not saying they're bad, just that environment, I'm like, fuck.
No, they're not bad. They're stuck in this vicious cycle of just trying to escape something or trying to mask something, trying to avoid something, and for a brief momentarily, and then that moment where you feel better probably gets shorter and shorter and shorter with every drop you take along the way, I would assume. That
too, and in your military you have a title. And so people look at you differently.
Interesting.
You have a different level of respect from the public. And, being out in the public doing recruiting stuff, I was used to getting that feedback, almost identical to stand-up comedy. Almost.
Yeah.
And when you don't get that, when you're not Sergeant Jason anymore, and you're just Jason, and nobody gives a fuck, that's a mind fuck too.
Right.
So it was all the PTSD, all the depression, all the fact is I'm now a real dude.
Yeah.
I can't hide behind the military.
Right.
So if I get in trouble with the cops, drink driving, I can't be like, hey, I'm in the military, please don't nail me.
Yeah.
I don't have that cloak.
Nothing now.
And now I'm just a veteran like anybody else. And so that fucked with my head enough. That's actually one of the things that got me to get my shit together was I had to take a big look back, and I'm like, I am too bothered by the fact that I don't have a title.
Right.
It shouldn't bother me.
So then what was the next title?
Right. And I went back to work for the government again because I needed that title.
And now Jason Vest, clean, sober, right? Doesn't need that title.
No, I don't need the title, and I don't need rules. I don't need, when I quit my job, I know that I'm going to make money doing comedy.
Yeah.
How that looks, I don't know.
So during this entire time, oh man, we're already up at the break. I want to talk to you on the other side of the break about, we'll spend a few more minutes on this, about how your wife and your relationship with her and how that impacted, and then we'll get real deep into the comedy stuff.
Let's do it, man.
All right, buddy. Stay tuned, everybody. Bobby Talks, ...
I'm Nate Adams of TheOnlyCritic.com, and you are listening to Bobby Talks.
Welcome back, everyone, to Bobby Talks, ... Those dots are there to tell you that there's always more to the story. Today's story, interesting one. Jason Vest, stand-up comedian here out of Detroit. Man, I'm just honored to have you on the show. Glad you made the trip down. I know it wasn't easy for you, but we tried to do this a week ago, and you end up having to go.
Work conflict, had to run out of town. Yeah, it's awful.
I was just, I'm glad to hear you didn't quit your job because you couldn't make this podcast.
No. It had been in the works, and when I quit, they begged me to not leave right away.
Interesting.
They asked me to stay, and so I've just been stealing government time for the last month, and so it's come to an end now.
Okay, gotcha. So we're sitting here, Jason Vest, ladies and gentlemen, Bobby Talks 3 Dots. Make sure to subscribe, follow the show, follow him, follow me. Poopy Turds McGee is his name. I can't even say that without smiling. I was trying to get through it seriously, and it's having a hard time. We've been talking a little bit about your past, military past, and I want to kind of wrap this up. But you have been gracious enough to share that you have had some troubles and tribulations with alcohol, depression, PTSD, the whole thing that comes with that. But yet you've been married now, you said, for 15 years. God bless your wife.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
What was that like? Has she just been the rock that's always there? I mean, that's probably a cliche because I'm sure she's had her struggles with trying to help you, thinking it might be a dead end road. Can you touch on that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm fully comfortable talking about it. If I can help one person,
dude,
I'm down.
Awesome.
And, but my wife didn't really know I had a problem. She just thought I really liked to drink because all my friends really like to drink.
Yeah.
So then she was like, all right, this guy's just not good at it.
Yeah.
So she never ever thought I was an alcoholic. She just thought I was really bad at drinking.
Fair enough. Okay. Fair enough.
Which is pretty much an alcoholic.
Yep.
And so, yeah, she didn't ever ask me to quit or anything, but I mean, I was awful. And I was the drink and not come home.
Gotcha.
For like a week.
Oh, wow. You would just disappear.
Go on benders.
Wow.
And like weekend long. I mean, I can laugh a little bit about it now, but
because you survived it.
I survived it.
And,
and the things that came from it, or some of it I've used and, my set and things like that. But yeah, no, it had to be hell. And then when I had decided to quit, she didn't even know I quit. I didn't tell anybody. I wanted to make sure that I could do it.
Yeah.
I did it. And then
by myself,
and then said, this is what I'm not going to do anymore.
What was the moment?
I was in a bike club. I had a bit of an identity crisis when I left the military, so I bought a Harley and joined a motorcycle club.
As you do.
Yeah, right. and I was at a bike rally, and I'm just like, what the fuck am I doing? I'm like, I don't like being a biker. I fucking hate it. Yeah. It's miserable.
Yeah.
But it really gave you an excuse. So like the military drinks, but the biker life, that party don't ever stop.
Yeah.
So like, I'm like, I hate this shit. And
dude, I'm never gonna cut you off, but like, you're fascinating to me because you were, all right, you talk about stereotypes. You are somebody who was pigeonholed because you went to a rural America school, right? But you did the theater route. You were a male in the 90s doing the theater route, doing the cheerleading thing. That in its own right is scary to do, and you did it, right? At that time, people would say that's not very hetero of you to do, right? So you had these undertones of probably homosexuality that you had to deal with and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But then you go and you do something with such testosterone-driven military, right? Then you get out of the military and you join a biker club, testosterone-driven biker club.
All testosterone.
Right? Back now, full circle, back to the stand-up comedian, dressing, doing boudoir type photo shoots. Just fascinating with the spectrum and how much you play with it. But like, your bravery is what you need to be commended for.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
That's awesome, man. Let's make the transition to your comedy.
Okay.
So you're stand-up comedian as of when? During quarantine? You go back further?
So it all started with the motorcycle club. We got to go back to that.
Yeah.
Right?
Sorry, let's go back there.
I was in this bike club for a year and great people.
Give me a time. Where are we at? What year is this?
This is now 2018.
Okay.
2018. I'm in this bike club. I'm working in Chicago, commuting back to Michigan to go do bike club commitments, riding all over the place. I mean, I've ridden to New York and back and Ohio, everywhere you could imagine. And honestly, it's what I needed at the time because in those clubs, you get a lot of camaraderie.
Community.
Yeah. And I was only stuck with my military community. I had to get out of that.
Okay.
Because I was leaving.
You needed to leave. Yep. Gotcha.
And then I got into this and then I started to go, wow, I quit drinking while in the club. And there's people that can be bikers that don't drink.
Sure.
There's tons of them. Yeah. I'm not that biker. And so it's like when I'm around it, I want to party.
Yeah.
Like I love that lifestyle.
Yeah.
I loved it too much.
Really?
Like I tried to prospect for a rough and tumble club before the club that I got into, and they told me I wasn't quite material. So then I went to this club, and then I really wasn't quite. At the end of the day, I really wasn't a biker.
Yeah.
I just wanted some friends.
You wanted another reason to party.
And it was just like, it was great people. So I parted ways from that. and then said, you know what? Now I can do some things. Because I always was a feminine dude.
Yeah.
So even in the biker community, like I am comfortable with being a feminine dude.
You're wearing their biker mantra, probably. You got the jackets or the vest.
I got the jacket.
You got the
I
whole
bought
thing.
all the Harley shit, man. Dude, I watched 2 seasons of the Sons of Anarchy, and I'm freaking in.
You were in, yeah.
Where were you when Opie died, man?
Here's the question then. Were you ostracized for wearing your biker Harley stuff, but yet you were in the bar doing the Naked Cowboy type things? You were in there.
Yeah, they loved it.
They loved it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But again, they loved it because I was drunk doing that shit. And so then I got out of it. I walked away from that lifestyle and I started doing hair tutorials on the internet. Because if you notice in one of those pictures, I have short hair, right? Mm-hmm. So I grew out my long curly hair. And a friend of mine goes, you need to start making posts on a Facebook forum. It's like, have like 50,000 followers on curly hair. So I started just taking pictures of my day to day, and I got a following.
Really?
I put one picture and get like 600 likes
on your curly hair.
On a picture of my hair, going, great hair day today, ladies.
I spend 24/7 of my time thinking about how I can make this show better. I only have 130 subscribers in 1 year. You got 600 followers on one
picture. So then I started making more posts and more posts and more posts. And the pandemic hit.
Okay.
And then I had these women on because mostly women. There's a few dudes on the curly hair forum.
Sure, yeah.
But a few of these women were like, "Hey, some of these were doctors, like frontline workers. We need you to like make us laugh. Like
need some forum.
This isn't over with." Like I'd stopped doing it for a while. I got bored with the posts and everything, and they were like, "No,
we need content.
No, the people have spoken. We want you back." So then I went and bought camera equipment, audio equipment.
For your hair.
For doing hair tutorials. So if you look on the internet, if you'll find my Poopy Turds McGee's, my YouTube page, you can find my hair tutorials.
Okay.
And you can start to see the timeline and when it all started. And so like when the hair tutorials started, that's when the comedy started.
Sure.
And I was always like, man, I should try stand up.
Okay.
I think
stand-up's an animal.
It is.
It's an animal. Because making someone laugh and then writing written material is way different. Right?
It is, and it's not easy. Like I first got into it. My first open mic I went to, I lasted a minute.
Really?
A minute
because of you?
Me.
You were like, I am not killing this. I need to get off.
I'm used to being funny in a crowd of people.
Yes.
I'm not used to being funny on a stage.
Right.
Where you have to make people laugh and they don't know anything about you.
Right.
Not used to that kind of funny.
Right.
So then I got into it and it just tanked. And it did not work out well for me because I was trying to do somebody that wasn't me.
Right. What were you trying to do?
I was trying to
Who are you emulating? What comedian would you say you were starting off emulating?
I really wasn't emulating anybody. I just had I need to come up with this joke.
Right.
About this thing that didn't happen. That
Gotcha.
probably could never happen.
You were doing non-authentic material.
Non-authentic material. And then Justin Aschenmacher.
Okay.
I ran into him and he said, dude, you got a full life.
Yeah.
There's a lot here to unpack.
Yeah, tell us.
Yeah, that's your wheelhouse. So now
he's good at that, isn't he?
He is.
He's got Justin's an interesting cat too, but he's got his social media presence is very good. He's got some artistic creativity, and he's very brave on that stage, isn't he?
He is.
Yeah.
And he's like the first person first Detroit comedian that I met that was like, all right, tell the truth.
Yes.
If you're going to tell the truth any place, do it on stage.
Yeah.
And then, man, once I started doing that, and then next thing you know, it was pictures and stand up. And then I got to go to New York City.
Really?
And then I performed in New York City twice.
How does that trip happen? Do you get a phone call? Do you call them?
No, anybody that performs in New York City at my level stand up, they're doing what they call a bringer show. And so you got to bring
a bringer show?
Bringer show. You have to bring the audience. You have to sell your own tickets, bring your audience to the comedy club, and then do a show.
Okay. And you had an audience out in New York?
I worked in New York for a little while when I was in the military. I was stationed there for 6 years, north of the city. So I put it out, and I had 12 people show up. I was only supposed to get 6.
Okay.
And then I'm like, wow, if I put it out, I'm doing something. 12 people showed up. I wasn't even planning on 6.
So the barometer was 12 or was 6, and you brought 12. Yes. That doesn't, no disrespect, but that doesn't sound like a lot of people by that, right?
No.
But you brought twice as much of what you were expected to bring.
Right. And then everybody on the lineup brings 6 people.
Okay.
So they may have a lineup of like 10 comics, right?
Okay.
4 bringers.
Okay.
They brought the audience. And then there's a few trickle in from outside.
Interesting.
And then and that's how you get onto one of those stages. So nobody gets on one of those stages. There's nobody that called Jason Vest going, hey, dude, this hot 7 to 10 minutes, We're going to fly you to New York, pay for all this shit. No,
you pay for everything.
Everything.
Yeah. But you pay for the opportunity.
You do. Gotcha. You pay for the opportunity. And then, but I did so good that I don't have to bring anybody anymore.
Right.
So now, like, I went the second time. But the thing is what show isn't a bringer show?
Right. That's a good point.
If you want to do professional comedy, you got to put people in seats. If you can't put your friends in seats, then you can't put strangers in seats. And
how many people are afraid to even lean on their friends to do things like that? I'll be the first to admit with this show, like I don't harass my friends to be like subscribe or anything like that. But like if you can't, but that's a good point. If you can't depend on them to do it, how are you going to depend on a stranger to click on it? You got to build it first. You have to be so willing to ask for anything. And if you're not willing to ask for anything, then you're not going to get anything. Right. Unfortunately, like that's just how it works in comedy. And you have to be willing to go, hey, can you put me on your show? And they might say no. Right. Can you get me on this? Can you do that? Can I get 5 minutes here? Can I, and that's just how it works. And if you're not afraid to ask those questions, right, or you're afraid to not put people in seats, then don't do comedy. Don't do comedy. Or do local open mics, right, where you don't have to do that. But if the way I see this is I look at it as a business. Right. And the more and more you get into it, the stakes get more and more. Okay. So like let's say you get famous. Okay, it doesn't end because now you have to sell even more tickets than when you were not famous. Okay. So it does. I don't think the hustle ever ends. No, and as a matter of fact, you start comparing yourself to other things. So now your barometer changes, right? Like your expectations, your standards. You're like, okay, I did 50, now I got to do 100 or whatever, right? You're competing with your own self. That's the best person to compete with. Well, true. Amen. Amen on that. But also you brought 12 to a bringer show. You're in New York City. You killed it. 7 to 10 minutes is what you got? I got 7 minutes that night and I killed it. What happens if you go long? They don't. Pissed? I went long that night. I went like 30 seconds over and the guy let me go. He was like, if you're killing, they don't care. Okay. But granted, you can't go take like an hour, but if you go over like, unless you're famous, but I just don't know that world. I was just curious. Yeah. But he gives you the light and then he gets you off. Okay. But when I went out there, it was the second week of live comedy in New York. Okay. I'd been performing like a beast for 6 months. When was this? This was in May, the beginning of May. This year? Yep. Oh, so, okay. So we're catching him on the upswing, boys, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. So, before that, I just did a bunch of like little shows and things like that. So this is COVID. Now, were people in the crowd wearing masks? They were. The first time it was half capacity. Did you have, you didn't have to, did you? No, we did. Everybody did. The first time I went to the comic strip, everyone's masked up. No, I mean, but when you were doing your act. No. Oh my God, I was going to say. No, and then I did my act. I killed it. And then the people that were gracious enough to say, hey, Jason, you don't need to bring anybody anymore. In fact, I just left. I was there 2 weeks ago. Of course, you brought people because that's just what you do. Yeah. You got it. I mean, I would always want to know, okay, at least there's 12 people there that I'm going to know. You know what I mean? Because does it make it easier or harder when you know the people in the crowd? I didn't know all of them. That's where it gets weird. Some of them on the internet, like I plugged it from, so I have a following online and they call themselves the Curl Friends. And that's the what? The Curl Friends from the Hair Forum. And I had that and I had like some friends of friends that just happened to be in New York or New Jersey, drove across the river to make sure they were there. Like it was a weird thing. I didn't expect 12 people to be there. I didn't expect 6. Really? But when you got there... It was just, who are you here for? Jason, you're here for Jason, you're here for Jason. Interesting. And people I didn't know. How big was that? How capacity? How much did it hold? I think you can hold maybe about 75 people in there. And you had 12 of that. Mm-hmm. You said there was 10 comedians there. You brought more than anybody in the set. I did that night. Yeah, that night. I mean, and like when I went back the second time, there was some young actor dude and he filled that place with like... young women, and he was. Were you a little entitled? Did you think you're going to go back and just there's going to be like 24 now, and then this guy comes in? Did you feel? No, I knew when I went back the second time that I wasn't going to get as many. Yeah. I wasn't even planning on it. I had actually signed up to do their open mic. Oh, really? I wasn't even planning on doing a show. I said, hey, I want to do your guys' open mic. And then they got a hold of me and said, no, we want to put you on the main show. What was the venue? Comic Strip Live. Oh, Comic Strip Live. Okay. Mm-hmm. Interesting. I've done it 3 times now. That's awesome, man. Yeah, I like it's good stuff. What borough is that? Upper East Side. Okay. And so it's in the bougie, rich white suburbs. Oh, yeah. Gossip Girl. Yes. Yeah. Or Gossip Man. Or Gossip Man. Jason Vest, we're sitting here with him, ladies and gentlemen. We're on season 2, episode 27 now. We're talking about a stand-up comedian part, and that's hard. who do you look at and think, wow, they're successful? That's kind of not necessarily what your comedy would be, but who are some of your idols in that?
So I look a lot, I guess I look a lot at like the newer comics and stuff like, now I say newer comics, but comics have been doing it like 10 years.
Okay.
And
Segura?
Segura. Nah, not so much Segura, more like Theo Von.
Okay.
I like Theo Von a lot. I try not to watch a lot of comics.
Because you're afraid that you will
I don't want to get pigeonholed, and I'm like one of those people, I watch something and I might try to emulate it. So like I listen to a lot of podcasts.
Okay.
I don't watch a lot of comedy. Like Jamar Neighbors is probably right now my favorite comedian, and nobody really knows who he is.
Yeah,
and he's done Rogan.
Really?
Did Rogan like 3 months ago.
I have to check him out.
The guy is a stinking genius. He shared one of my TikToks. Like the guy. So if I guess if there's someone I would follow right now, it would be Jamar Neighbors. You know, is he mega famous? No. But is he out there doing his authentic self? Yes.
Killing it.
Yeah.
What about some of the older guys? What's some of the old comedians?
I'd say Sam Kinison.
Sam Kinison.
Huge fan of Sam Kinison.
I was never a Sam Kinison guy.
I was, because he broke a lot of rules.
Yeah.
It didn't.
I see the attraction to that guy. To me, he was just so obnoxious, right? Which I get. Some people are so into that. To me, I was more into the clever writing portion, like George Carlin. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. When someone sees me perform and they're a technical comic, they're vomiting when they see me perform, because I'm not technical.
Is your act very physical?
It's physical. It's a lot of music. I sing a lot.
Interesting.
And so, you know, I've got that background. And so.
Yeah, I noticed that you play the guitar, and that's not just something that you're doing for fun. You're actually.
It's all part of the act. I don't play guitar and perform. I can now. I've got a song catalog where I could do maybe 15, 20 minutes of just straight music.
Really? Like a Bo Burnham type thing?
Kinda, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I've got not parodies, like real original full songs. And that's kind of how I kind of got started in stand-up. I wrote a song about catfishing white girls on the internet. I wrote a song for Squatty Potty.
Yep, I saw that one too.
So that kind of helped me get a little started too with that kind of stuff. And so as I write more, if it makes sense to do a song, I do it.
Okay.
If it doesn't make sense to do a song, I don't.
What do you mean by that? If it makes sense to do it?
So like if I'm telling a joke and it's an original song, then I think I'm usually okay with doing it. But because I get a lot of times, that's your crutch.
Right.
That's all part of the act.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck if it's a crutch. You don't have it.
Are you getting a laugh out of it?
Yes.
And if you are, then why would you have,
Right. Or I get a wow factor.
Yes.
So like, I talk about being an Elton John impersonator cruise ship.
Yeah.
I sing an Elton John phrase.
Yeah.
And I got told, I took a writing class. Guys like, don't ever do that. And I'm like, no, I can professionally sing.
Right.
I'm going to drive it home, because you might not believe that I was an Elton John impersonator in a cruise ship.
Right.
But cruise ship impersonators are terrible.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so like there's a lot there. And so, and so when the music stuff, but that's when it started to work for me. When I met Justin, I wasn't doing any of the music. I wasn't doing any of the songs. I was just telling these made up jokes. And it was just like, this isn't who the fuck I am. I'm doing karaoke at a cruise ship, making friends.
Yeah.
I'm on a stage singing a song. There's a way to tie all this in.
Yes.
Be original.
Yep.
Not be like anybody else. Get a little bit of hate. You're going to get people that don't want to book you because they're like, I don't know about that. But the wins will be big when you get them.
Well, the conversation, then that's what you want, right? You want people leaving there talking about you.
Right.
Yeah. Hopefully
that's the whole point.
Yeah. Because then they'll come back. You gotta come see this guy. And then they're not quite sure what they're watching. Yeah. But they enjoy it for whatever reason.
Right. And so that's kind of what I'm going for. So I don't need you to laugh the whole way through it. Yeah. That's not the point. Yeah. And what I'm working on now, like,
it reminds me of Zach Galifianakis when he did that live at the piano.
Yes. Yeah. I performed on that stage.
You did.
That's the same.
Beautiful.
It's Comic Strip Live.
That's Comic Strip Live. Okay. Yeah. I was gonna say I thought I've heard of it.
It's got a piano right there. It's where he got to start. It's where he was discovered.
So comedy doesn't have to just be the one-liners and then the incredible storytellers like that. It's got so many different ways to hit you, right?
That's it. And that's kind of what I'm working on now. Is like I'm working on an hour of material. I mean, I'm working on
trying to get an actual showcase show.
It's real shit.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, I want you to know, Jason Vest likes feet. Lionel Richie gets his dick hard. He catfish women on the internet. He hates Applebee's.
Yep.
He loves Popeyes. Mm-hmm. He loves Popeyes. that kind of loves big women.
Right.
He met his wife on the internet.
Yep.
When you get done with that, you're going to know a lot about me.
Yep.
And then I'm going to be finished. Like that. And then I will write like maybe some other jokes, but like for this first hour that I'm working on, I just did my first 25 minutes of it last week.
Yeah.
And I wasn't expecting to do 25 minutes, and it went real well.
It did.
Real well.
Are you videotaping yourself when you're doing these shows to see and listen back to like what hit and what didn't, or what you need to teeter, or what, you need to spend more time on?
No.
Don't you think you should?
Maybe, but that's the past.
Okay.
And I can't go back and change the past.
Okay.
So why am I going to watch myself tank and be
but I mean, aren't you doing the same material, or are you doing like...
Lately, I'm doing a lot of open mics. In the last 3 weeks at open mics, I haven't done the same set.
Really?
In 3 weeks.
Oh, see, that's fascinating to me.
So I've been writing, but that's been my goal, is to write material and perform it the same week.
Relevant material, something new.
And maybe sometimes I'll go up there with no plan.
Yeah.
And we'll figure it out on stage.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm doing right now, and I'm writing every night. Every night I write. Every day I write.
Really?
Every free moment I get, I write, but it's nothing new. It's all about shit in my past, how I can make it relevant to today.
Right. Trying to tie it all together.
It all together in, and then that's when I'll have an hour, and I think it's going to be pretty good.
Okay. I can see you're getting kind of excited about it.
The 25 minutes went pretty well.
Okay.
Pretty well.
Where'd you do that at?
In Ohio, in Vermilion. My friend, so you make a lot of connections doing this if you travel.
Sure, yeah.
So my buddies in Louisville were going to Ohio to do an hour special to record my friend Randy.
Okay.
Doing his hour-long special, and he's like, hey, I need a feature. And I'm like, okay, I'll come up. And I was only really supposed to do 10 minutes, but then we had time, and they're like, you're 25, which I have to do 25 minutes on Thursday.
Do they do, wait, you were doing 10. You're in the moment. Like, are they in the moment saying you need to do another 15?
Right before I went up, about 2 minutes before I went up.
Do they ask you, do you have 25 minutes worth of material?
They knew I did.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
like, these are my friends. So I told them I've been writing a ton, and I hadn't.
Does that like bother you though? Or some people like the mindset. I would think I would want the mindset of knowing what I'm doing that night to try to polish it up.
I knew I have 15 minutes of polish that I can do in my sleep.
Okay.
And so anything else is an add-on. And so I did my opener and my closer and just put anything that I thought was fluff in between jokes I knew was going to get laughs.
Okay.
But then everything hit. And it was just one of those nights where it was like, holy
You're in the
shit.
zone. You're feeling good. You probably didn't want to get off the stage.
No, I could have done another 5 minutes easily.
Yeah.
But the thing was I actually had time, because I have some pretty deep, it's the stuff from my past. It's true.
Yeah.
I have time to talk about it.
Do you play around with the moods? Like, do you get real serious?
Oh yeah.
And then hit us with something where we're not, you're...
If you look at my Instagram pictures, I cover a lot of ground. I'm yelling at the audience. I invoke it. Like, I act it out as if
you were triggered in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, what a genius thing to do. As if like you're telling a story about how you've been triggered, you've overcome it, and then something triggers you and then you revert back. Yeah, that's great.
Exactly
not to laugh at it, but you're using it to your advantage.
Everything. Yeah. So like if something makes me angry, it makes me angry because it's probably going to blow your eardrums out.
Really?
Or if it's not, it might get in your face.
Yeah.
And so like if I have a wireless mic, I'm dangerous because I had a woman pull my hair and smack my ass a few weeks ago. Like, I do a different type of crowd work where I might, like, if I sing a song, I might grab someone's, like my foot fetish song.
Yeah.
I've had feet in my face. I've had sandals thrown at me. I've had you name it. And so I like that. If you give me a wireless mic, I can probably do an hour.
You're moving around that room then.
I'm getting around every corner of that room.
That right there is why you can't videotape it, because you're everywhere.
No. So, I mean, my wife videotapes it, but like, if I have a need to watch it back, I watch it back. But at the end of the day, I know how I did. So if I know I did shitty, I know exactly what I did wrong. Yeah. I don't need to watch a tape.
But sometimes when you know you nailed it, you're like, man, I really wish I could see that again. You know what I mean?
This is my thing. I don't get hung up on like if a performance wasn't good or if it wasn't bad.
Yeah.
I just go on to the next.
You just keep rolling. That's good. You're kind of like a shooter in basketball. You got to have a kind of a short memory. If you keep missing, you guys got to keep shooting.
I don't want to be one of these people that's so stinking rehearsed.
Yeah.
That
it doesn't come off authentic anymore.
It doesn't come off as authentic because some of my stuff's wild and it's true.
Right.
So it's like, I maybe need to slip up a little bit.
You'll have, because sometimes if it's too polished, it's not funny, right? Like those Carnival comedians. Like it's just like, oh, that guy has told this joke 1,000 times. All of the one-liners hit or all the punchlines hit, but like it's so polished and clean that you can tell. Where with you live in that world. Right. You use it to your advantage.
Right.
That's kind of scary.
And so, like sometimes it doesn't get a lot of laughs.
Does it stop you? Do you think it will ultimately hinder you from getting to another level?
If it does, it does.
You don't care.
I don't. I want to tell my story, and I want to do it. I want to do it through comedy, and whatever comes of it, comes of it.
Comes of it. You're gonna play your cards no matter what.
No, because I don't have to do stand up to make a living.
Right.
I mean, I could find other ways to be professionally funny from the internet.
So you're gonna do this the rest of your life?
I think so.
You don't. So there's no like, I'm not chasing the big stage, the big fame, the big anything. You're just trying to tell a story and make people laugh.
Trying to tell a story, trying to make people laugh. There's a way to make a living doing it. I don't know how that looks. Jim
Carrey was a stand-up comedian to start, right?
Yep.
And there's a famous story about how his school teacher would give him like 5 minutes at the end of the day to give his material, so he would spend as long as he was quiet throughout the day, right? Did you hear this story?
Yeah.
So, but he tells a story about how he was killing every night with impressions, and he felt that was a guaranteed way to get a laugh, but he also felt like it was the thing holding him back, because he knew if he wanted to get to that next level, he had to stop doing the impressions and kind of work on other material, and he became really physical. So I'm sure you knew all that, but he's a hero of mine. So.
No, yeah, Jim Carrey's awesome.
Did you ever seen that commencement speech he gave?
Mm-mm.
Oh my gosh, because he's like an artist and everything now, and everybody thinks he's going off his rocker, which makes him better to me. But it's brilliant. If you get a chance, 26 minutes of just like, it hits you, but it's hilarious, and only the way Jim Carrey can do it.
Well, you look at Jim Carrey's stand-up, like when he stopped doing the impressions.
Yeah.
It was pretty wild, man.
Dude, it was.
Wild, not perfect.
I didn't love it. But have you ever seen Rubberface, the movie? Oh, man. His early stuff is... But he's trying, right? And that's what you're supposed to do.
Well, you see Sam Kinison videos. There's one out there where he doesn't tell one joke. He sits down at the piano and sings a love song.
Okay.
That turns into him just hating whoever he's with. And it's hilarious.
Sometimes those awkward comedians, right? Like Andy Kaufman, makes you feel uncomfortable in your space. A lot of people say is not a comedian, but a lot of people say is pure genius, right? I don't know where you live with that. What do you think about the Andy Kaufmans of the world?
I think if you can make people laugh by not saying a whole hell of a lot, then you're pretty fucking funny.
He was
As
interesting.
a stand-up comedian that doesn't talk a whole lot.
Yeah.
But I think that's where it just comes down to comics are the worst. They are the worst critics of everybody.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, it may not be textbook, but it's funny.
Yeah.
Laugh at it. If it's not funny, it's not funny. But it's like I hate going to open mics because it's always just that guy bombed. And it's like, did he really? I thought he was pretty genius to me.
It's all subjective too. It's all in the eye of the beholder, right? Hey, dude, here's what I would like to do if you're willing to do it.
Yeah.
I'd like to do another 10 minutes for Spotify
Absolutely.
listeners, another 10, 15. That's it for YouTube though. We did an hour like that.
Wow, that was awesome.
I really appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Jason Vest at Poopy Turds McGee, TikTok, Instagram. I guess he doesn't do Twitter that much, but if you can, go find him. Find this guy, follow him. We're going to promote where he's going to be. He's going to be doing some shows here coming up. And then hopefully you guys will like what we're doing here at Bobby Talks. We're going to be doing a new media company called 3 Dots Media. So make sure you follow, like, subscribe me as well. Subscribe, tell your friends. Man, I really appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Cool. All right, YouTube. We'll see you. See you on down the road. Man, how competitive is it when you are in you got 10 comedians on the lineup that night. You're there. You're in the middle of the card, right? You got 7 minutes given to you. Are you trying to steal the show?